showed me what was possible.
All right, friends, let's talk about Will Byers. Yes, the guy who spent half his childhood in the Upside Down and still looks like he's auditioning for a goth band. Stranger Things S5 is finally here. And if you thought Vecna had it easy before, think again. This season, Will might just be Hawkins' ultimate secret weapon, and yes, I'm predicting things that will blow your mind, or at least make you spill your popcorn. First off, let's remember Will's upside-down trauma. This is the kid who literally lived in a shadow dimension where everything wants to eat him, yet he comes back looking like a sad, emo angel. That trauma? It's not just for dramatic flair, it's powerful. This theory explains that all those creepy, dead-eyed stares Will gives, those aren't just fashion statements. They're psychic energy being quietly stored for the big showdown with Vecna. And here's where the breadcrumbs begin. Episode 1 of Season 5 immediately reminds us of Will's connection to the Upside Down when he twitches at the same creepy sounds everyone else ignores. Classic I'm the chosen one, but I have to look dramatic about it. Support this content by liking, sharing, and subscribing for more upcoming theories. Theory number 1. Will embraces the power of the empathy overload. This theory explains that Will's ability to literally feel other people's emotional pain could be the key to defeating Vecna. Now, here's the kicker. What if Will cranks it up to 11? I mean, literally, like musical references aside, he overloads Vecna's psychic feed like a bad Wi-Fi signal and causes him to glitch out. Imagine Vecna's big evil face twitching like he's buffering on Netflix, and suddenly his grand plan of terror comes crashing down because he forgot to install the latest horror update. Classic mistake. A clue from Episode 2 shows Will practicing his powers with Mike in what is probably the weirdest and most uncomfortable sparring session ever. Think emotional charades meets X-Men mind wrestling. It's awkward, it's messy, and it's hilarious if you don't get eaten by a mind flare in the middle. Theory number 2, the Hawkins family intervention. This shows us a hidden detail. Will might not just be a telekinetic prodigy. He might also be a master manipulator if he gets enough therapy training. Picture this. The Byers family sits Vecna down for a very intense, very uncomfortable intervention. Joyce is crying, Jonathan is awkwardly offering snacks, and Will is just staring at Vecna with pure, unsettling focus. The Duffer Brothers may have secretly modeled this after a Thanksgiving dinner gone wrong, because let's be honest, there's nothing scarier than someone yelling about unprocessed trauma while someone else is holding a plate of burnt stuffing. The theory explains that Vecna has never dealt with group therapy, and the sheer emotional bombardment might destabilize him long enough for Will to hit him with a mind-power combo. Episode 3 gave us another massive clue, Vecna's psychological Achilles heel. This hidden detail shows that Vecna isn't just a monster. He's a little bit insecure. Hear me out. The way he reacts when characters call him out on his nonsense, or when Steve Harrington throws hair gel-fueled sass in his face, suggests that maybe, just maybe, Vecna can't handle the social humiliation. Will could exploit this. Combine psychic powers with a well-timed diss about Vecna's forehead veins or his creepy cape, and suddenly you've got a villain who is more awkward than menacing. It's genius. Theory 3, 11's comeback plan, or the mind meld that should have been called therapy. Here's where things get cinematic and slightly ridiculous. Will teams up with 11 to do a full-on psychic mashup. They hold hands, concentrate really hard, and basically run a Vecna cleanse. This theory explains that Will might have a better emotional insight than 11, which gives him the edge in predicting Vecna's moves. Remember Episode 4? Will is shown sneaking around Hawkins, using his emotional radar to figure out where Vecna is hiding. It's a classic underdog moment, except the underdog is a psychic teenager, and the stakes are literally the town being destroyed. Bonus funny moment. Somewhere in the mix, Steve Harrington probably gets stuck in the psychic field, screaming about hair product spillage or something equally trivial. Theory 4 is a personal favorite, the Hawkins high school trick. A hidden detail shows that the school itself is kind of haunted, sentient, or just very bad at security. Imagine Will lure Vecna into the gym during dodgeball practice. The theory explains that the fluorescent lights, the smell of old sweat, and the terrifying memory of middle school math classes could destabilize Vecna completely. Add in a surprise appearance by Dustin with his walkie-talkie army and Lucas with his boomerang, And suddenly you've got an improvised trap that combines physics, comedy, and horror in a way only Stranger Things can pull off. A clue from episode 1 reveals the gymnasium has secret wiring that Vecna hates, like a nemesis of evil supernatural beings everywhere. Think Voldemort versus Muggle technology, but with more sweatpants. And finally, Theory 5, Steve Harrington saves the day. Again, because let's face it, we all saw this coming. This shows us a hidden detail. Steve has an uncanny ability to survive things that would kill most adults, from demo dogs to hair gel-fueled supernatural threats. The theory explains that Steve might get thrown into the final psychic showdown as comic relief, an accidental hero, and possibly romantic subtext for someone who has zero awareness of his role in the psychic battle. Episode 2 hints that Steve has been secretly training in a hedge maze, which makes absolutely no sense, but we don't question it because Steve Harrington is a legend. Imagine Steve distracting Vecna with a choreographed hair flip, buying Will just enough time to channel the full force of empathy, psychic power, and emotional guilt at him. Here's the mind-blowing part. All 5 theories might actually converge. Will might overload Vecna's empathy feed, drag him into family therapy, use 11 for the psychic mashup, lure him into the haunted gym, and have Steve Harrington perform a distraction dance routine. By the end, Vecna would either be neutralized, emotionally bankrupt, or just too confused to continue terrorizing Hawkins. The cliffhanger of episode 4 teasing Vecna's next move is critical here because it shows that the Duffer Brothers are keeping us on edge, while also giving plenty of room for hilarious, absurd heroics. Throughout episodes 1 to 4, this theory explains subtle foreshadowing. Will's lingering trauma, his close emotional bond with 11, and even his awkward social interactions point to him being uniquely equipped to survive and defeat Vecna. And the breadcrumbs? They're everywhere. The slightly too specific cereal choices, the lingering shots of empty streets, the tense standoffs that end with nobody being hurt or only slightly traumatized. Every tiny moment is laying the groundwork for Will to become the ultimate psychic hero, while keeping the show's trademark mix of tension, comedy, and teenage awkwardness. So, to recap the madness, Will's success depends on the ultimate combination of mind powers, emotional insight, family awkwardness, Steve Harrington's inexplicable heroics, and some very creative use of Hawkins' physical environment. And the beauty of Stranger Things is that all of these things feel totally plausible in the world the Duffer Brothers have built. We're talking telekinesis, interdimensional travel, and teenage angst as weapons. Basically the ultimate toolbox. In conclusion, Will defeating Vecna isn't just about brute force, psychic energy, or sheer luck. It's about exploiting every hidden detail we've seen across episodes 1 through 4. It's about combining humor, strategy, empathy, and, yes, slightly ridiculous theatrics into a plan that is simultaneously terrifying and hilarious. So next time you watch Stranger Things, remember, the key to saving Hawkins might just be a mopey, emotionally tuned-in teenager, a girl with electricity powers, and one perfect hair flip. If you enjoyed this theory and want more wild predictions, insane breakdowns, and mind-bending explanations, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Because who knows? Steve Harrington might just end up in your living room, and you'll want to be prepared.